We were somewhere around Barstow, at the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
We were somewhere around Barstow. We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert. We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
What's up, fishes? Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode is a really special one because we're out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we're gonna go on and get together with a few of our friend YouTubers. We went ahead and got a hold of each other and decided it was a great idea to try to take each other's money and decide who plays the worst. So I'm really excited for it. Our very first meetup game in the lineup, we have Mr. Wegas, we have Jeff Stimson, we have Happy Face Holdem, we have Old Man Coffee, we have myself, we have Ladyfish, and a really good friend of ours. He's a subscriber. He drove all the way down from LA to be out here in the meetup game. So thank you, Mr. Richard, for coming out here with us and sharing our very first meetup game experience. I'm really excited. We're gonna go drive to the West Gate, which is where we're gonna go on and play. I'm excited because they're gonna allow us to film. We don't have to hide it anymore. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, fishes. So before we get started, I want to let you guys know that I am completely aware my freaking fingernails are dirty. But I was working on my truck, and if you've ever worked on cars, you know what? I don't give a caca. Everybody on the table agreed that $200 was going to be the max buy-in. Now, I was only planning on buying $100, but everybody else bought in for $200, and I was just not about to look like a hairy vagina in front of all these gentlemen. So I went and I coughed up the other $100. I bought in for 200, 100 big blinds, and let's get right into it. The first hand of the night, I go on and I get dealt ace, queen. I'm somewhere in middle position and I bump it up to $8. Our opponent on the button calls, our opponent on the big blind calls. We go three ways to a flop. The flop is 7-4 deuce. The big blind checks and I go on and I make it $12. The button calls, the big blind folds, and we go heads up to see a turn. Of course, the turn is absolutely no help to us. It's a 5. And that doesn't stop me from being a fish. I have a flush draw, I have 2 overs, and if my math is right, that makes me about 24 outs, somewhere around that area, somewhere around that ballpark. Sounds pretty good to me. I make it $15, the button calls, and we still heads up to see a river. River's another 5. We obviously don't improve, but a wise old man once said, quitting is for quitters. I fire my last bullet of $30, hoping for a fold, but our opponent is just way too smart. He calls us and he shows over pocket 9s. Yep, that beats ace queen. That pot gets pushed in the opposite direction in which we are currently sitting, and we are at negative. We managed to bleed our stack down to just a little bit under $100, and it's time for an add-on. I add on $100 to my stack, and this is when I'm in lay position and I get dealt ace-9 offsuit. Now, I want to go on and play this hand, but I'm not a big fan of limping, so I bump it up to $11. Our opponent on the button, Mr. Wegas, he makes the call. Our opponent on the big blind, Jeff Stimson, he makes the call, and we go three ways to a flop. The flop is 3 king 9. We get stuck with middle pair on a king high board, and after the big blind checks, we go on and we put a continuation bet of $15, which both Mr. Wegas and Jeff, they both agree that $15 is a fair price to pay for their hand, and we go three ways to a turn. The turn is a 5. Now that shouldn't have changed anything. Jeff checks, I make it $15 and hope for a cheap showdown. Mr. Wegas goes on and raises, or Jeff somehow finds a sneaky little check raise in there. I might have to fold, but thankfully that didn't happen because both Mr. Wegas and Jeff, they just flatted, and we go three ways to a river. The river's a 4. Jeff checks again, and to be honest, he's the one I was a little more concerned about. He could have a king in his range, with maybe a king with a shitty kicker, which would explain why he didn't raise it or check raise me or lead out. But he didn't do that. I went ahead and I bumped out a bet of $15, which is strictly a blocker bet. It's a bet designed for a cheap showdown. Now, if I get raised, I might call if it's just a min raise, but if either Mr. Wegas or Jeff gets out of line and just like repops it a lot, then of course I'm gonna have to find a fold. But fortunately, that didn't happen. Mr. Wegas, he goes on and he makes the call. Jeff folds, and we show our 9. We're a little embarrassed to show our 9, but our 9 is good. Mr. Wegas was also playing a 9 with the 7 kicker. Obviously, my ace is a little bit higher than the 7, and we take this one down. For this hand, I've put a $5 straddle on the button, but Jeff's in middle position, and he goes on and he bumps it up to 15 bucks. It folds around a happy face Holdem who makes the call, and I should have last action because I did straddle on the button, but because Jeff went ahead and rerouted that course of action, he changed the way things were, I no longer hold that power. So now it's on me, and I look down at Queen Jack offsuit. I'm on the button, and I'm clearly aware that Queen Jack is not the greatest hand ever, but I smell weakness. I smell weakness, and if I just call, I'm going to go on and price in Old Man Coffee. I'm going to go on and price in Mr. Wegas. I'm going to price in Richard, and we most certainly don't want that. I go on and I rebump him. I bump it up to 35 bucks. Everybody folds except Jeff. He makes the call. Happy face Holdem makes the call. We go 3 ways to a flop. The flop is 9, King, 10. Back where I'm from, that's called the nuts. If you've never flopped the nuts before, it feels something like this.
Oh! Oh, yes! Yes!
Jeff checks. Happy face Holdem. He goes on and he checks. And it's time for me to cash in on that bluffing image. I go on and I put 40 bucks with the nuts. And our opponent, Jeff, he goes on and he calls. Happy face Holdem. He goes on and he changes his name to Happy Face Foldem. Because he goes on and he lets it go, and we go heads up to see a turn. The turn is a brick. Jeff checks again, and he only has about a smidge and a half over 100 bucks. I go on and I jam. I'm all in. Jeff thinks about it for a little bit before he makes the call, and we go heads up to see a run out. Jeff, have you seen the movie Frozen? Just let it go, man. Son of a biscuit. No heart. No heart. No heart. No heart. You got it, huh? No? Well, if you don't have a heart, then...
Queen Jack. Great. Not the straight. I think it was chasing
Queen Jack is good. Our opponent, Jeff, he shows pocket jacks, and we take this one down. For this next hand, I look down at deuce 3 suited on the cutoff. I'm a big old sucker for these suited connectors, especially these slow ones, and since I want to play and I don't like to limp, I go on and I bump it up to 6 bucks. Old Man Coffee on the button. He goes on and he calls. A small blind calls. Lady Fish calls, and we go 4 ways to a flop. What a sweet baby Jesus type of flop this is. Deuce 3-7 on the board. We go on and we flop 2 mother effing pairs. Hell freaking yeah. You know, and I've been caught bluffing already. I've been caught with my hand in the cookie jar. No one's going to believe I hit this board this hard. I go on and I fire a bet of 15 bucks. Old Man Coffee, he goes on and he calls. Small blind, he has a few tricks up his sleeve. He goes for the good old check raise. He raises it up to 30 bucks. Lady Fish folds, and it's only 15 bucks more to me. 15 bucks to win a pot of about 80-ish bucks. That sounds like pretty good odds to me. I go on and I make the call, and it's on Old Man Coffee. Now, Old Man Coffee is getting a 6-1 on a call, but he smells something. He smells something fishy. He smells something fishy. His spidey senses are going off. Alarms are ringing. Bells. He knows something's not right, and he goes on and he lets his hand go. He folds. Now, I know what he had, and I can tell you what he had, but I guarantee you, fishes, you will not believe what he had. You're not gonna believe me. Your best bet is to go to his channel, watch the video, so you can see for yourself, because I guarantee it, you will not believe me. Anyway, back to this hand. We're heads up to see a turn, and sweet baby Jesus decides to throw us another bone. A freaking 3 on the turn. We fill up, And even better, our opponent on the small blind, he bets out 25 bucks. Now, I could definitely raise him here, but I don't want to scare him away. I don't want to scare him away. I want him to continue betting. I go on and I make the call, and we go heads up to see a river. River's a 9. That shouldn't have changed anything. And now our opponent goes on and fires off another bet of 25 bucks. Now I'm thinking, I'm Hollywooding, I'm pretending like I don't know what to do. But in my head, I'm trying to figure out how much I can raise that he would call. Trying to think of what's the closest amount to maximum value. And well, I decide on 45. I pay off his $25 and I say 45 bucks. 45 buck raise. The only problem is that I said 45, but I physically grabbed 65 chips. Man, I was drinking way too freaking much. Or maybe not enough, but damn it, we're in Vegas. We're supposed to do that in Vegas, right? We're supposed to get completely shit-faced. We're supposed to get completely hammered. And trust me, guys, we were on that route. Anyways, I made a mistake, but it was 40. It doesn't matter. Our opponent on the small blind, he ends up folding, and somehow I convinced him to show me what he had. I'm gonna raise.
Raise.
That's his right there. And I'm gonna raise. Let me see. 45.
You said 45, dude. You got like 60 here. You got 65, dude.
He's been drinking, don't worry.
45.
He meant 65.
Right? You missed your flush. You missed your flush. You missed it. You missed your flush. I knew it. Oh.
Yeah, you missed your heart flush.
So it's towards the end of the night now, and of course my phone dies. I wasn't able to record a few hands, including one that I played against Jeff Stimson, where he went on and he called me with pocket fives. He read me like a book. I was bluffing. He caught me bluffing, and he took me for about 100 and something bucks. He read me like a book. This one here was versus Mr. Wegas. I went ahead and I had pocket threes. Like I said, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I raised it pre-flop. Mr. Wegas called. Flop comes. It's 3-4-5. Man, what a sweet baby Jesus type of flop, right? We go on and we flop a set. Mr. Wegas, he goes on and he checks it. I fire a bet. I don't remember how much. Mr. Wegas repops me. He repops me to about 100 bucks. Of course, I go on and I make the call, and the turn is a 5. It fills me up. Hell freaking yeah. Mr. Wegas, he leads out again for another 100 and something. And I'm thinking whether I should repop him, but I ended up not repopping him because I wanted him to continue betting. I go on and I call the 100 and something, and we go on to a disgusting river. It's another freaking 4. 2 4s and 2 5s on the board. You couldn't ask for anything worse than that. Man, even worse, Mr. Wegas, he goes on and he fires off another 100 and something bucks. And well, I had to call. I threw in my chip, and yeah, I don't have specifics on that hand, but thankfully, Happy Face Holdem to the rescue. He went ahead and he recorded this whole hand, and he sent it to me, and well, yeah, what a hand.
All right, I believe it to be 115.
All right, Wegas, re-raise, fish. Not sure what's going on here. This is desperation right here. Put him in a tough spot.
But yes.
What's the decision here? He makes the call. Which is ace deuce.
After 4 hours. 3, 5.
Full house over flush. Wow. Fish. What was the worry on the river?
Double paired board. I had the shitty end of the pool house.
Ah. Too many drinks for me.
All right, fishes, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I went ahead and I cashed out for just a little bit under 1,000, which is freaking great. It's a little bit under a $700 profit because I bought in for 200 and I had to add on because my donkey ass went ahead and blew 100 bucks really early on. So I was in it for 300, out for almost 1,000. So if you ask me, that's a pretty damn good day. All these gentlemen, all these fine bloggers, don't forget to go on to their YouTube channels. I'll go on and link them in the description below. Go subscribe to them, give them the thumbs up. You guys all know the drill, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And well, I'll see you guys later.